New Thought Media Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And now, here's Lindsay.
Good morning, everyone. And Buster's saying good morning too. Welcome to the PIP Show on New Thought Media Network. So if you're on YouTube, hi. And if you're on Facebook, hi. If you are just seeing us in the rerun, hi. Welcome to the morning Friday show, which happens to be on 9 a.m. Pacific Coast time. I'm going to get down here and throw this up for you guys. And if you're on the East Coast, it's lunchtime. And if you're in Europe, it's like dinner time. So if you see in here where it says comments, go and hit comment and just say hi, because that's the way I know that you're here. And let's see. Oh, Kevin's here. Welcome, Kevin. So good to have you. And I know Shay's coming. I know my parents are here. Quite a few people. Some people that I do mindfulness classes with in California are here. So in the past, we have been working on the 7 laws of spiritual success. And we actually ended that series last week. And so I was about to start my new series today with Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach and You're Not So Smart by David McRaney. This really talks about the biases of the brain. And then, of course, the understanding of being able to be in that calm, centered acceptance place. But what we're going to do is actually start that in 2 weeks. And the reason why we're doing that in 2 weeks is because tomorrow, I'm going to London. So here's my duck. And why am I going to London? Because my son is graduating for an Oxford Brookes graduate international hospitality. Yay, in graduate school. So I'm going for 2 weeks. So I'm going to actually be dark with Pip for 2 weeks. And I'll be saying hi to the king and the queen from everyone. So if you want to, you can message me great places to eat, things to see. I'll be on the southern coast, basically in London. My son lives in Chelsea. And then, of course, we're going to go over to Oxford for the graduation. So any suggestions I'd love to have. But I sat back and I believe in this infinite flow, practicing infinite possibilities. So I was like, do I really want to start a new series and then be dark for 2 Fridays? I thought, nope. And then came this article. This article, here I have it. I put it up in the banner. Let me put the name of the article up. Here it is. This came across in my Google, things to read. Warren Buffett says living a successful life, happy life. That is it. Okay, I got it. Living a happy life comes down to 4 simple things. And so this article was actually written by Jeff Hayden, and he's the editor over in Inc. magazine. And so he picked 4 things that Warren Buffett has said over time that makes him happy, and successful. And I thought, that's so cool, because we've been doing the Deepak Chopra, the 7 Successful Spiritual Life, and they were the law of pure potentiality, the law of giving, the law of karma, the law of least effort, law of intentions, the law of detachment, which is really what we're going to be leaning into this summer, the law of manifestation, and the law of dharma, life's purpose. And Warren Beatty is an investor, and you know how much he's worth right now? $114 billion. $114 billion. That's a lot of money. So, and he's 92. Insane. He's doing so good. So I want us to lean into that and see what he had to say. Before I get that, I did want to show you two of hearts that came in. For those who don't know, we've been collecting hearts and manifesting them in our lives. Isn't that beautiful? So many leaves, so many flowers have the shape of a heart. And when you have your intention on what you want to see in the morning, then it pops up. Now, the next one I want to show you is very meaningful to me because it's one of my mindfulness coaches that I coach mindfully. And he's in his early 20s, and he's really waking up to the infinite possibilities of what he can see in this world. And his whole life is shifting. It's just so magnificent, from a narrow thinking to this incredible ability that he has. And he's waking up to it. It's an example of just waking up. So he saw my PIP on recording, and then he sent me this. Now, this is him looking out and of a view in Southern California. This is in the San Fernando Valley. And see where he made the heart in red? He looked out and saw all these trees, and he saw the pattern of heart. Okay, the heart pattern is over here, if you see it. And so he made the heart pattern, and he said, there you go, Lindsay, I see a heart. That's so cool. A guy in his 20s who's like kind of waking up, and he's like, I can see a heart instantaneously. He just looked up, he saw the pattern in the trees, he wrote it, and he sent it to me. And that's what it's about. There are hearts, there's good stuff all over, but we have to wake up and see them. Wake up. It's that easy. It is your own thinking that brings down the filter system when you don't see the good in the world. Oh, is there not good in the world? Oh, absolutely. But it's the duality. It's the yin and the yang. There's on the same coin, even grief. On the other side of grief is love. And on the other side of love is grief. The question is, what side of the coin are you basing your life through? You certainly do need to process grief or anger or sadness or whatever feeling you have. They're all acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of being a spiritual being in a human body, has been given this brain, and this brain has all these emotions. So it's not bad when you have an emotion. You accept the emotion. We've talked about that. Where's my red? Oh, I lost my red. That's right, I'll use my graduation. You accept the emotion. But when accepting the emotion, you don't become the emotion, right? You feel the emotion, you understand it, you observe the emotion, and then you become aware of where the emotion comes from. And then you can bring forth another perspective of it. It's so powerful. So in other words, when negative things happen or you have a negative feeling, it doesn't mean that that is negative. It means there's some lesson to be learned. There's something to be taught. So that's important. You know, for some of us, Mother's Day was kind of hard. And I think a lot of my women friends who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s, one of the big reasons why Mother's Day was so hard for them is because their mothers have passed. So yes, you're meant to celebrate motherhood, but their mothers were gone. And so it brought in grief. And I really understand that. I'm very fortunate that I have my mother still with me, but my grandparents and many women that I love very, very much are not with me. And so I send blessings. And that grief that I feel at Mother's Day, it's honoring how wonderful these women have affected my life. And that's okay, because I'd rather love and loss than never love at all. What is our purpose, right? What's our spiritual purpose as a human being? To love anyway. to love anyway. All right. So I also wanted to show you guys. Here's Wayne. God bless light-hearted souls. Amen. Amen, brother. God bless us all. Because we are all light-hearted souls. We are. That's what I was saying. But some of us are not aware of it. We are not aware that we have the perfect light of God inside of us already. And so we have to work with our tool, our brain, to work through the human experience. The spiritual self is having a human experience, and we have to understand the human experience so we can work with the human experience to allow that light-hearted soul to be that infinite possibility of God manifesting itself as us to paint the picture of good. So, okay, let me go over here. Another thing I wanted us to see is last week I forgot to show you my quotes. So I wanted to show them to you today. Okay, who said this? The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Isn't that awesome? The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And so last week when we were talking about the law of Dharma, we were saying what inside of us is uniquely special. We're all different, which is so awesome. Like a stew is yummy, but peas and carrots and potatoes and onions and garlic, they're all different, but they all need to be part of the stew. And the peas shouldn't act like the carrots or taste like the carrots, or the stew wouldn't be good. So what are you? Are you a pea, a carrot? What are you? What is your gift? My gift is this, is talking and practicing mindfulness and really working with people. And that's why I was a director of a school and a special ed teacher. And I've done many things, volunteered in my church and help run the little kids Sunday school program and all these things, because that is my gift. And so I find other ways to give it away. And when I say give it away, it doesn't mean that you don't receive financial compensation for it. It means that you do it. That's the action of flow. It's action. When you give, you receive. When you give, you receive. So find out what yours is. Maybe yours is music. Maybe yours is art. Well, who said that? Pablo Picasso, right? Aren't we all Pablo Picasso, right? Painting the picture of life. And when you're painting it and when you're bringing out the light in it, you're also giving it away. Do what feels good in your heart. All right, here's another one. Last one. Your work is your love made visible. That to me really sings to my heart. And the reason why is because I do think the larger process of the spiritual being choosing to have a human experience is to learn how to love anyway. And that's really something that I heard Mother Teresa say. No matter what happens, can you love anyway? So your work is to love, is your love made visible. When you're loving anyway, doesn't mean you have to like the situation. Let me just explain that. But if you can bring love to the situation, even a very difficult situation, an illness or global warming, or a relationship with a child or a parent or a spouse, if you can bring love to a difficult situation, the situation will become visibly changing. That is the gift we can do. That is what Mother Teresa did in Calcutta. She would pick up the dying. It didn't matter if they were Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, Jewish. It didn't matter if they were a child, a mother, a grandmother, someone very old. It didn't matter what they were dying of. She picked them up anyway and loved them anyway. She said that she saw Christ in everybody because she can love anyway through that vehicle. We get that choice too. Can you love anyway? That is the highest expression of unfolding your beauty, unfolding your flower. It doesn't mean you have to like it. You might have to pick up the dying. You may need to nurse something. You might need to go and protest. You might need to write a letter of apology. You might need to think out of the box. Doesn't mean you don't act, but while you're doing this, you do it from the intention, the law of intention of love anyway. And I don't mean romantic love. I mean this inner connection of understanding that there's this higher energy of infinite power within us that we need to accept, and it feels good. It feels joy. It feels happiness. It can bring the rainbow to the storm. That is loving anyway. It's that radical acceptance that we're going to talk about when we start the series in 2 weeks, which happens to be on June 9th. We'll be doing episode 45. So, all right. And who said that? Gibran. So, but I'm sure it's Mother Teresa, the Buddha, Jesus, your grandmom. And if our dogs could talk, our dogs too, right? To love anyway. All right, let me come up here. Yeah. Amen. Love always wins. It's the law. That's right. See, what you put out there, you get back. That's the law of karma. What you put out there, you get back. So this is actually a good segue. Let me come down and take that one off. I have to learn how to do all my banners. Well, I know how to do them. I just have to be able to. Okay, here we go. So let's go down here and let's talk about the 4 things that Warren Buffett said that Jeff put in his article. Okay. Remember, this is a man who is 92 years old and worth $114 billion. So he knows how to work the collective consciousness of the United States of America and the world to produce abundance, but he's also happy. So when you get to my age, you will be successful if the people whom you hope to have tongue. It's hard for me to read. The dyslexia runs in. So let's all give me a breath. Okay, here we go. I can do it, right? You get to see my vulnerability. When you get to my age, you will be successful if the people whom you hope to have love you do love you. In other words, when you're 92 years old and you look around and the people you're hoping that love you do love you, then you're successful. He's not saying when you get to $114 billion. That sounds successful. But there are lots of people out there that have manifested money and are very lonely, right? There's a lot of people who have manifested money and are very, very self-centered and don't have good relationships. On the other hand, there's lots of people, including Warren Buffett, who have manifested money and are happy. So it's not the money that's making you happy. It is your relationships and how you have established them. And to establish good relationships has nothing to do with money, and it has everything to do with how you set up your intention and your karma. The law that I want to go back and even quote Wayne one more time because it was so good here. Law always wins. It's the law. It doesn't say financial success and happiness wins when you have $114 billion. That's not what it's about. It comes back to this root. When you are on your deathbed and you're looking around, did you do a good job? Did you establish good relationships? Let's go back to the law of giving, the law of karma, the law of intention, all the things that, here's some more good advice from Wayne. Life of vibrational energy, love. I love that. Life of vibrational energy, LOVE, love. Life of vibrational energy. Amen. Thank you for putting that up. I really appreciate that, Wade. So when you're going to go back to this one, so what is the karma you have set up in your life? Look around. Really look around. Do you like how people think of you? Now, I know in the 4 agreements, it says, don't worry about what other people think about you. It says much more about them than it does you. And this is the paradox of understanding psychology and spirituality. You can go for many things. And it is true. How they perceive you has much more about what you do. Oh, excuse me, what they've done in their life than what you do. What is the filter system that they perceive you as? However, on the other side of it is you have to realize that if you're giving out hate, then people are going to flow back hate at you. If you're around people that are extremely needy and taking, like a vampire, like taking your energy all the time, then most likely you're in a relationships in which you have, you're a people pleaser. Couldn't think of the word. You're a people pleaser. You're trying to reach outside validation, people on the outside to validate you. And then by doing that, you throw your energy on the outside, and then you attract people that will take your energy. And then it feels like all these people are just vampiring you out there. So what you want to be able to do is can you love yourself? Can you love yourself? Can you set up healthy boundaries right within yourself? And when you then can you give love from those boundaries? And you're going to find that all four things that I talk about, that Warren Buffett has this concept of understanding self and setting up boundaries. Let's go to the next one. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Cheer me on, everyone. You want to associate with people who are the kind of person you'd like to be. You'll move more in that direction. Okay. Man, you want to associate with people who are the kind of people that you would like to be. You want to move in that direction. So once again, then you say, well, what's influencing you? You do realize as a human experience that the people around you are influencing you all the time. So when I worked as the head director, and these parents would come in to our school, which was a special ed school for kids that really had great difficulty in some ways. And they say, I don't know what's wrong. Everything's fine with my son, but he's here. And I would be like, well, I think we're living in a little denial here. And I'd say, okay, let's not worry about Joe or Lisa or whoever their child is. So tell me about their friends. Tell me about their friends. And they'd say, oh, I don't like their friends. I think they're smoking dope. And I think one got arrested for stealing a car. And I'd say, well, you're as good as your friends that you associate with. So I'm not saying that Joe or Lisa is smoking dope and stealing cars, but if their friends are doing, that's the influence in which they're hanging out with. So the question is, who are you hanging out with? He really leans into it, and he talks about, even Warren Buffett, about who are you marrying? And he said that it's so important. One of the most successful things you want to do in your life is marry well. To marry well. Well, that makes a lot of sense. But when I was really young, I kind of had a list of things that I wanted to marry, and being mindful and really supporting me on my goals was not on the list. And that was my problem. Good looking, handsome, smart, successful, they were all on the list. And my first husband did all that, but he didn't support me in my spiritual goals. And I didn't think that that was important. However, as you can see, I'm a very spiritual person, and I do lots of things, and I do public speaking and things like that. And my first husband wasn't interested in that at all. So it's not a blame on him. It's really my naiveness of understanding that I need to be authentic and put myself authentically out and find people that are mindful and conscious and that can accept me in an authentic way and support my authenticity as well as I support those. So my second last and best husband, Randy, he is very mindful. He is also very spiritual, and he supports me. It doesn't mean that everything is always perfect, because a relationship ebbs and flows, but it does mean that we have a strong foundation of understanding and support. And that if the person I'm sitting around at home with, when I'm tired, hungry, have COVID, whatever, I need to make sure that person is supporting me to my highest, not bringing me down. Now, you might be already in a relationship like I was with my first time husband, where I either needed to actually grow with the husband and experience something new, or I needed to make a different decision. Ultimately, I tried the first one. It didn't work, so I did the second. And that's why you go to therapists, counselors, coaches, mindfulness teachers, reverends, New Thought Media Network, so you can work out what is the karma. But let me tell you, the karma is not guilt, and the karma is not going to be blame. Meaning I'm going to make my karma, meaning how I address the situation with full responsibility, with love being my center, and moving forward with good intentions. That is what Warren Buffett is saying. You have to have the intention to center yourself with people around that you want to be like, from your household to your workplace. Number 3. The difference between successful people and really successful people is the really successful people say no to almost anything. That, like I said, there you go. When you say no to everything, we're always saying yes. Yes to life. Yes to everything. New experiences, infinite possibilities. Well, that is good. Yes is extremely powerful, but no is equally as powerful. And often the person you actually have to say no to is yourself. What are you talking about, Lindsay? No to myself? That's going to keep me limited. When you're in a fear-based negative thought pattern, you have to say no. When you're entering and you have mindfulness being aware in the present moment of what is going on without judgment, and you see that you're in a habitual habit or you're not using impulse control, you say no to that, and then you take that sacred pause and bring yourself to the higher consciousness so you can make good choices and say yes to something else. So often we have to be able to say no first so we can open up the possibilities of yes. And if you go back to what I just talked about with the people pleaser, right? There are people who say yes way too many times. Way too many times. Do we have any people out there that are people pleasers who really want to make their husband or their wife or their neighbors or their dogs or whatever, they just say to the churches and to the synagogues and all that, yes, 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 and then they're exhausted? It's because they don't have the power of no. So the power of no gives you the ability to do that sacred pause. Warren Buffett doesn't go out there and just kick it out of the park without thinking. He takes in what's going on. He observes what's going on. He says, nope, I'm going to take that sacred pause. I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to be able to say, as the Dalai Lama says, put the problem in a box. And I'm going to say no to making a quick decision. And I'm going to see it from all different directions and from heart-centered. And then I'm going to say yes, yes to life. Please say yes to life. But make sure you're saying yes after the sacred pause, saying yes from kindness, saying yes from love, not yes from greed or fear or guilt or shame. That's when you need to say no. So quite often when my kids will ask me to do something, will you do this? I'll say, let me think about it. Or my husband, let me think about it. I know not to make quick choices late at night, because they're usually wrong, or they're not well thought out. I won't say they're wrong. They're just not well thought out. So I need to say no at night, and I say yes in the morning. In the morning, I have, after I've done my meditation and I've done my things, I come up with the best ideas and I say yes, yes, yes. And then I go ahead and plan out my day. But not when you're tired, hangry, right? Hungry and angry tired at the same time. Not when you're like that. So learn the power of no so you can have the sacred pause and then go into the power of yes. This is something else that Warren says about that. People are always going to want your time. People are always going to want your time. It's the only thing you can't buy. I can buy anything I want, basically, but I can't buy time. That's why the power of no is so important. No. So I can't have too many meetings. I need to carve out some sacred time, some self-care for yourself. So that means that you might have to say no. Remember, time you cannot buy. The power of no will free it up. The power of yes to your sacred time, the power yes to the sacred pause, self-care, yes, yes, yes. No to just filling out the schedule so you're busy and then you're overwhelmed. Right? Okay, so the last one he talks about, let me see. Berkshire's operating CEOs are masters of their crafts and run their businesses as if they were their own. My job is to stay out of their way and allocate whatever excess capital in their business, whatever they need. I had to make this really short. The bottom line is what he's saying is trust. Find the right people. Have the power of saying no. Make good choices. And then trust the universe. Trust that great people can do great jobs. And you don't have to micromanage them. You don't have to micromanage them. Find your team. Who is your team? Think about it right now. Who is your team? Who are the people that support you in what you're doing? Who are the people you talk to when you're feeling bad? You find your team. Remember the 7 laws of spiritual success by Deepak Chopra says the law of least resistance. Well, it's the law of least resistance when you find your team. Does that make sense? It's the law of least resistance when you find your team because you can live in the flow. You can live in the flow. He lives in the flow because he trusts his team. He trusts his decisions. He trusts that he can be in the sacred pause and doesn't say yes to everything. He has the power of no. He trusts that he aligns himself with great friends and great supports. He trusts that when he is setting up karma and having relationship, that the people that he loves him because he's done the work. He's done the work to set that up. Everything he does, we can do too. We can do too. All right. Well, thank you so much. I just love that. And here we go. Have a great, safe trip. Thank you. I am off. Last time I went to see him, I bought this very cool purse from Harrods, right? Isn't that cool? So this is, and I wore red in honor of the British flag today. So I want to thank you all very much. I want to thank New Thought Media Network. I want you guys to remember these 4 things. Basically, you want to remember you're as good as your friends. You want to center yourself with love. You want to make good choices. You want to have sacred pauses, right? You want to believe in the flow. If you want to get in touch with me or you want to send me any more hearts, I'd appreciate centeredmoment@gmail.com, or you can go to lindsayleimbach.com, and that is my website. And I'd love to hear from you. So message me if you know of any places I should go. I'd love that. I really want to thank all my friends like Trudy and Judy and Laurie and all my wonderful friends, and Lori and Laura for being here, and my mom and dad and everyone like that. I really appreciate it. Feel free, please like everything that if this has been helpful, and pass it along. And I just want to get my last one down. I didn't set it up. And then of course I want to thank New Thought Media Network for having the opportunity to do this right here on New Thought Media Network. I appreciate it. Please check out Rev Melissa. She's one of my favorites. Please also check out all the other ministers. They're fabulous. They're fabulous. Until 2 weeks from now, I shall see you again. So happy end of May, and keep practicing infinite possibilities knowing that life is positive and wonderful.